This is the project that I'm speaking about this morning. Right now we are in this building complex. This is where your bus stopped. And you see different colors in that map. Light blue is the Science and Technology Park, which I will explain. Then dark blue is the university campus. Humboldt University has its natural science departments here in Adlershof. Red is the area where we see media production, mostly for television, but also for filmmaking and some for the internet. A service area with offices of the local administration because of history. Because of the history that started here more than 100 years ago with the implementation of high-tech. High-tech in the times and in the context of aviation. This was the site of the first German airfield for motor-driven airplanes. And this is what it looked like back then. Just a meadow, the forest had been cleared off, and this is one of a member of the family of the emperor who was very proud and encouraging and supporting this. And this is an old Wright flyer. There, the Crown Prince is here to greet, or the founders of the airport greet the Crown Prince who came to the opening of that, which was in 1909, in September 1909, and some of the old high-tech machines that were designed back then. And you see a lot of infrastructure. In this case, it was hangars, wooden-built garages for airplanes and for the builders and the designers of these airplanes, which were many times built here on the site. One of the famous German developers and pioneers, Hans Grade, with his design. We had Zeppelins on the site. First buildings in stone, like this one. It's still here. We'll see it on the tour. And even women in high tech. As soon as 1910, Melly Bese, who was the first German pilot and started to design airplanes here on the site and to produce them. Airplane factories, the end of the First World War, everything was dismantled and destroyed. Switched to civilian use, first airmail services in the world started from here. Airmail and filmmaking started here in old airplane hangars. Switch from airplanes to car manufacturing. And then again, in the early 1930s, a growing development in aviation. Research. This is a picture from our biggest research facility of these times, the big wind tunnel. This is how it looked from the outside. And that's another picture from inside. After the end of the Second World War, not only Berlin was mostly destroyed, it looked like this. That's a photograph from the airfield here in Adlershof, wrecked and destroyed airplanes, and the old buildings in the rear. The city got divided. Adlershof became part of East Berlin. And aviation research was discontinued here in Adlershof. And the area was given to the East German Academy of Sciences, which introduced and built up their biggest and most important research site in East Germany here in these premises. They researched in all kinds of disciplines, chemistry, physics. These here, I think, are researching on new pharmaceutical agents. These are specialized laboratories that were designed and built for material research. Radio telescope was set up. satellite technology, computer science, you name it. Around 5,000 people worked here in 1990, mostly scientists, engineers, and technicians. Some part was used by military, Guards Regiment Felix Dzerzhinsky, parts of this area, and East German television was founded here on the site. Here we see the construction site in the early 1950s. This building complex is still here, and while most of the other buildings have already disappeared. And for the ones who are studying in Germany, maybe you're familiar with this guy, Sandmann. He's the one who brings the children to bed at night in the television with some nice, relaxing, comforting stories. This was the person who brought the official news to the citizens of East Germany. And then the war came down, and we saw again a tremendous change in the development of Adlershof. The Academy. Here I'm back. Okay. The Academy of Sciences was closed after the reunification. The East German television was closed after reunification. The military unit, the Guards Regiment, was disbanded. And most of the industry that was in that area collapsed because they were not competitive with their West German or Western competitors. So we saw a huge problem in the whole area. And the question was what to do about this. And the government of Berlin decided we want to keep Adlershof as a site for high-ranking research, but this time we want to have more than just research. We want to have an integrated science and technology park. While we are facing the 21st century, we want to make use of the experiences that were gathered and made all over the world with projects like this, and we want to establish something that will fit to our situation in Adlershof. The answer to that was first to establish a scientific foundation for the project, which was done by, or that was the first principle, by reorganizing, refounding scientific institutes, to bring in Humboldt University, which was located in the city center. If you had the chance to have a city tour, Unter den Linden, in the old historic center of East Berlin, there's that huge, impressive building of Humboldt University, more than 200 years old now, the university. And they relocated their natural science departments from the city center to Adlershof. Then the next thing was to provide an infrastructure, you could say hardware, buildings, spaces, laboratories, where high-tech companies could be started and where they could work. Then there should be a systematic approach how to encourage and to support startups and high-tech companies on the side. And from the very beginning have an international focus, have a global view on the whole thing for our companies to go global or international, and for international companies that we are attractive for them to come here. And to help to create regional networks, professional networks of high-tech companies, researchers, university faculties, and so on. And to do all of that within a campus planning and a campus development. And this is the principle, the idea, bring together on one side scientific institutes of the university. Here it's Humboldt University, to have non-university scientific institutes like Fraunhofer, a name that you might have heard, Leibniz institutes, then we have two Helmholtz facilities here in Adlershof, the Material Research Agency of the Federal Republic of Germany has one branch here, and so on and so on. So many of them are more into applied research, while university, many times you're more into basic research. And then we have our small and medium-sized companies that cooperate with these, that cooperate here, and also between university and non-university research institutes. We see joint personnel, special professors that are directors in the institute that give lectures at the university, and students going into the research institutes doing diploma theses, working on their PhD thesis and so on. And then you have to have somebody in the middle who tries to organize everything and make ends meet on this side. And this is, I haven't mentioned it yet, Vista Management, GmbH, which is limited liability company, which is the operator of the Science and Technology Park. And on behalf of Vista Management, I have to welcome you this morning. And I'm glad I've remembered to give that information. This is an aerial view of Adlershof today. We are right now just here, sorry, just outside the picture. You see a lot of green, but you see a lot of buildings, many new buildings. You see one round facility here, which is very impressive. It's our electron storage ring. It's one of the Helmholtz facilities that we have here. We have today more than 1,000 companies. We started with 80 in the early days, 80 companies that were founded by former employees of the Academy of Sciences that went that way to go self-employed and start their business. And more than 50,000 people are working here today. This is the development. This is Academy of Sciences of East Germany. Taken out of that, evaluated parts, the most precious and valuable parts, reorganized in institutes we will name on the tour, like Institute for Crystal Growth, Max Born Institute, one of the leading institutes for ultra-short pulse laser spectroscopy, Hahn-Meitner Institute, researching in silicon photovoltaics, which fusioned with BESSI, the electron storage ring, to the Helmholtz Center. The Fraunhofer Institute, which recently merged with a sister institute in Charlottenburg, in the city center. They went there. Ferdinand Braun Institute, leading institute for microwave and laser diode technology in Europe. The Department of Brandenburg Technische Universität and the two departments of German Center for Aviation and Space Research, Deutsches Zentrum für Luft- und Raumfahrt. Humboldt University came in around the year 2000, and the continuous development of that. Here we have the university campus with chemistry, physics, psychology, geography, and in this building, computer science and mathematics. Then we see technology centers, buildings like this for biotechnology and environmental technologies, media technology, this center, the complex of photonics, and several others. And again, on the tour, we will point out these to you. What developed or evolved is that the concentration at Adlershof obviously is in the field of optical science and microsystems, in material research, which is required for these systems, for these technologies, and a huge activities in the field of mathematics and computer science, the development of software which enables you, when you use the technology which is here developed, to do that in a very sufficient and efficient way. And this software usually makes the difference and makes these high quality products extremely usable and competitive in an application. Laser technology I mentioned already, optoelectronics, everything that's required for communication, optical technologies and communication in our times, nanotechnology and thin film technologies, nanoparticles, thin films for coatings, for photovoltaics, and so on. precision engineering, semiconductor crystals, reference materials, and production technology. Healthcare, ambient intelligence, security technology, traffic and logistics, multimedia. All this is covered here on the side. And again, product and process development in pharmaceutical, in medical, in biotechnology applications. Based on the expertise that was already here, and based on expectations and knowledge about strong and fast developing technologies in the towards the 21st century, these clusters were identified, and Adlershof is strongly trying to sharpen these profiles and to develop these clusters. Photonics and optics, microsystems and materials, photovoltaics and renewable energies, IT and media, biotechnology and environment. And because there's so much expertise in analytical processes, approaches, equipment, and so on, this has evolved as a single technology field as well. And these are examples for the network. Most of the companies here are small, medium-sized companies. If you take just one, they are small, they are weak. What can they do? What is their power? But with the networks, they are able to identify needs for research, for public support. They are even able to team up, to compete with bigger competitors, and they are able to develop new technological approaches together with scientific institutes here in Adlershof. We spoke about infrastructure. These are all examples for buildings that were built to provide space for startups and small and medium-sized technology companies. This one example for biotechnology and environmental technologies. This is our newest one for photovoltaics and renewable energies. And so all the areas put together, we have around 150,000 square meters for rent to these companies. We have 2 incubators, a German and international incubators, and they provide special services, and especially for the foreigners that want to start a business. We are able to help with visa, working permit, questions regarding hiring of personnel, and so on and so on. To start a business in Germany used to be very difficult. It has developed or evolved to be much easier, but it's still some task. And if you are a foreigner from outside the EU, it can be even more difficult, and we try to help as much as possible with that. In the buildings, depending on the technology fields, we have pre-equipped laboratories and workspaces, pre-equipped with technical infrastructure to make life easy when you are looking for a space as a technology company, and we will also stop by and have see an example of that. That's the principle, that's the idea of the Adlershof system, to start encouraging potential business starters from the university, from the research institute, from companies, tell them about opportunities here on the site, provide space in our incubators, in the technology centers, even more sophisticated space, many more laboratories, much more laboratory space, and so on. And if they grow bigger, we can provide a plot where they can build their own building. They don't need to leave Adlershof, they can stay here, even if they grow big. And some big companies have found their way eventually to Adlershof. In the very beginning, the big companies, they came, they looked around, and they saw industrial wastelands. Nothing that looked as it would ever become the biggest and most modern and dynamic science and technology park area in Germany or in Europe. In the very beginning, everyone, they shrugged their shoulders and they turned around and said, well, maybe we come back in 5 or 10 years. Some of them came back, and in the meantime, we We took care of our own small plants and helped them to develop, and they were very successful in doing that. The park management, yes, vista management, here you can see it. It's very important to have these in one area, but that's even as important that they know about each other, what the neighborhood is about, that there are occasions, that there are places, events where they can meet, that there's information, transparency, that you know about each other and life, and that it is easier for you to find somebody who could be a partner. This will explain on the tour why the advantages of Adlershof. We are very flexible, we are very diverse, we have well-established networks, and we do everything to introduce newcomers into that network so that you can find suppliers, partners, customers, people that can provide you with expertise, and so on and so on. International Business Incubator, I mentioned already, we've been very successful. I don't know of any startup from Ecuador so far, so you are heartily invited to be the first one. When you come here, we'll be very happy to welcome you here and help you with that. Brazil was, I think, the last company that was started from Latin America here, that was from Brazil. We've started to offer our experience in training packages, be it here in Adlershof or on site, which is here. And by the way, Adlershof, the area itself, it's not as party-like Mitte or Friedrichshain, but it's a very nice area and also helps to attract people and makes life nice for people that work here and come here. Okay, we have reached only 50% of our potential. There's still lots of space to be developed. We hope to be in 2020 and beyond around 20,000 employees, 1,200 companies, 10,000 students. We have reached already 9,000 and 3,500 inhabitants in our residential areas. And I have no slide on this one, but we are at the same time, we are trying to improve our energy efficiency, reduce the input of fossil fuels, improve or rise the percentage of renewable energies that we use on the site. And on the tours, we will give you some examples. And Dr. Ludwig of Vista Management, who sits back there, he will guide one of the two tours, and we will especially highlight this focus, while I on the other two will also highlight the focus, but he's the extremely right person, because the head of the Technology Center for Photovoltaics and Renewable Energies. Okay, except for one who just fell over with his head just for 2 minutes. I think I was not too bad. I know the hard work was on your side, so I thank you for that, keeping up your heads and staying awake. I have to check what time it is. Yes. We have a few minutes now, so somebody might need to go to the toilet. The toilet's downstairs. One or the other might want to have a smoke. We are in the 21st century, we're in Germany, but still some people like to smoke. So that would be possible. And then we would start our tours. And I understand you split into 2 groups. Why did I ask you to come here? Because this is one of the key places in Adlershof, and that shows the approach in urban development, in the approach how to develop Adlershof. I mentioned already this wind tunnel which we saw from the other side, which which was an extremely important and innovative research facility. After the Second World War, it was disabandoned. It's empty now, but it's a landmark, and fortunately nobody tore it down. It's still here. Then we have this egg-shaped facility here, or structure here. This was a vertical wind tunnel. There was a propeller underneath the ceiling, and it was what the testing of airplane models, and they tested the phenomena of tail spinning. I think tail spinning is the right word for that. So if the plane becomes too slow, it will go like this, and then it will circle down and will crash. Very, very dangerous. And they did tests with pilots on the airfield, but they wanted to have a laboratory for doing that. Scientists always want to have a laboratory. And that was the laboratory that was designed and built for that. And that one behind you, that's with the two towers, that was a testing bed for airplane engines. The engines were moved into the building, gates closed, and then during the test the noise could leave only via the towers. So that was a noise protection design for the area, very innovative again. And that helped the people, the scientists at the big wind tunnel could do their calculations without being terribly disturbed. So when the question was where to locate the campus for Humboldt University, it had to be a central place in the area, and then the idea was build the new buildings around these historic buildings. We create that small park here. It's called Aerodynamic Park, and we have two advantages. At one point we have a campus situation, and we have a face of that campus that everyone who has been here one time will recognize for the rest of his life, I believe, because the new buildings of the institutes and these historic facilities in between are very, very special. And the new buildings, starting with the yellow-red one, that's a storage facility for chemicals and solvents, Institute for Chemistry. By the way, the husband of Angela Merkel is professor of chemistry. He's there at that institute. Then down there, that's the lecture building. And to the right, we have the Institute for Physics. And they are not only famous because they're extreme advanced research work in semiconductors, lasers, then on quantum computers they are researching, and so on and so on and so on. So they're very valuable for the whole environment here. They're also famous for their green facade. Now most of the leaves have come down due to the time of year, but this green facade is watered with the rainwater from the roof, and it's part of the rainwater management of that building. And we have a rainwater management system on the whole area. Maybe you could name it. The artist took from the archives of the German radio archives pieces of recordings that were taken here all over the more than 100 years of Adlershof, from the early days of the airfield, from aviation research, from the military camp, from the early days of television, reports from the Academy of Sciences, and they kind of distorted it and worked with it electronically, and every one of these balls is playing like one chapter, one of this history. Very interesting approach how to